Hello and welcome to this overview of the Forecast International product and user interface. My name is Jim Head. I'm the sales manager for Asia Pacific and Europe. And now you click login, takes me to the portal. On the left hand side, Online Market Intelligence Services, the blue banner. Click that and it takes me to the introduction screen. On the left hand side, I can see the content organized in a file and folder hierarchy. We have aviation systems, space systems, military electronic systems, government and industries, which I should mention includes our international military markets segments. These cover 6 different broad areas of the planet. We have naval systems and finally power and weapon systems at the very bottom, which include military vehicles, missile forecast, ordnance and munitions, unmanned vehicles, land and sea. And we'll go through these in a little bit greater detail, but suffice to say, all of them basically follow the same format. We'll look at military aircraft forecast first, but then I want to take you into governments and industries. The international military markets, IMM products, actually have a different format, more for armed forces users. But let's take a look at the hardware and equipment format of military aircraft forecast. Now, included with this module, and this is a single module that a user would purchase, are customer service guide, our eMarket alert newsletter instructions. eMarket alerts come twice a week. That's news about this particular industry, in this case, military aircraft. There are facts about this intelligence service, a variety of spreadsheets, a table of contents, and then finally the individual program reports. But if we look at the table of contents first, we can see, again, each of these online intelligence modules follow the same format. We have an index, we have a list of programs, we have the market analyses, and we have the appendices. Inside the market analyses, these are roll-ups of all the different programs inside, as well as notes on trends, competition, market direction, things like that. Okay, let's take a look at what an individual program report looks like. And again, there are dozens of these, as you can see. Let's look at the Eurofighter Typhoon, shall we? Now, the Eurofighter Typhoon, we're greeted by the unit production forecast for the next 10 years. We have an outlook. We have an orientation. We have a brief list of contractors. We have technical data and specifications, performance specifications. We have program review, which discusses the program's history and its business approach. This includes capability upgrades, export orders, funding, contracts, orders, and options. And this is important, so I'm going to spend a minute talking about this. If we separate Forecast International's users into 2 broad tranches, we can understand one is an OEM or a manufacturer of equipment. In this case, the different companies that are involved in the Eurofighter Typhoon would like to, they're the ones putting out their forecast rationale and their forecast. Companies that sell to these companies, these manufacturers, such as your Tier 1 or your Tier 2 and Tier 3 manufacturers of things like landing gear, tires and wires and fasteners, need to know how many units are going to be produced so that they can plan their labor, raw materials purchases, production planning, budgeting, acquisition of new machines or leasing of new machines or tools, and other things to keep their business going. They need to know what their customer is going to be doing in terms of production and how long that production run is going to continue. So Forecast International, of course, is a third-party validator of production figures. So, Lockheed or Boeing or Airbus will come out with production figures and forecast figures. Ours, Forecast Internationals, are third-party, non-vested, validated forecasts, independently validated forecasts, and customers choose us to understand the nature of exactly, to triangulate basically and match the production figures and the forecasts of the match the production forecasts of the OEMs. Okay. Other companies use Forecast International to understand where these machines have been delivered to around the world, because they, for instance, sell aftermarket parts and services, and they want to know where the market is. Here we can understand that Italy has ordered 1, Kuwait Air Force has ordered 28, Qatar has ordered 24, and throughout this intelligence module, for instance, worldwide distribution and inventories, we can see the countries that operate this fighter aircraft. And again is our forecast rationale. And finally, the 10-year outlook, estimated calendar year unit production. Designation is on the left-hand side always. The first 4 years or 3 years are high confidence. The following 3 years are good confidence. And finally, the last 3 years of the 10-year forecast are speculative. Okay. Now, you've seen this individual program report. Now consider that all of these aircraft have a similar format and information and content. We're going to show one analysis because I think it's important to see the roll-up of all of these different aircraft. The analysis contains, in its table of contents, an executive summary, an introduction, a discussion of trends, the competitive environment, and finally market statistics. And as you can see, this is quite a lengthy document. And as we scroll through it, we understand the different countries' interests and investments into the program, or into all of their different programs. And then finally, as we get toward the bottom, we can start to see the tables and charts that define the analyses. These are all forecasts for all of these aircraft that are included in the military aircraft forecast. Some of these forecasts are broken into unit production forecasts. This particular one that we're looking at here, underneath here, this is the value statistics, so that's the market value of all of the different aircraft, which we can see on the left. And then we get into some deeper analysis and market sizing. The market for fighter aircraft value statistics by percentage of market share by the headquarters company. So you can start to see. Okay. Now, considering what was included in each of these program reports and what we saw in the appendices and the analyses, all of which is included in this one online intelligence module called Military Aircraft Forecast, we can take a look and we understand that the content is similar for airborne electronics, AN equipment, C4I, electro-optical systems, electronic systems, electronic warfare, radar systems, land and sea-based electronics, naval systems including anti-submarine warfare, warships forecast, power systems, which will have its own separate video. This discusses turbines and aviation turbines and which aircraft they're matched to, a missile forecast, military weapons, military vehicles, ordnance and munitions, unmanned vehicles, airborne and unmanned vehicles, land and sea. But I do want to discuss what our international military markets look like. Okay, so I open it up, and let's take a look at the table of contents. Inside IMM Europe, we can see the e-market alert newsletter instructions. Again, these e-market alerts are emails that come twice a week, and they discuss the news and updates about what is happening relevant to this particular online module. So in this case, the news would be anything that's happening with European defense agencies, procurement, divestiture, exercises, personnel moves, etc. Of course, each of these online intelligence services comes with a query service, which means that the user is enabled to contact the analyst at any time via email or phone call and ask questions about the intelligence service and the content within it. And then we have a list of the different countries that are included in this particular online intelligence service. Bulgaria, Croatia, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, France, Germany, Iceland, Greenland, on and on, Italy. It's quite a comprehensive coverage. Okay, so let's look and see what each of these looks like. And let's go to Finland. Section 1, data. Section 2 being market overview. Section 3 would be force structures. So here we have, and I should say each of these is downloadable as well. The outlook, market attractiveness, the image matrix, so industry, military posture, acquisition budget, government, and economy. And this again can be used either by people, users that are trying to understand a market, or users that are trying to understand the capabilities of, for instance, an adversary or intelligence collection. Defense spending is discussed, security assistance, arms trade, sales activity, budgets, state budget, economic synopsis, manufacturing capability, the major companies involved, the political and security environment, and finally their military posture and infrastructure. The market overview discusses ongoing programs and future requirements. And this discusses in depth where Finland's military believes it is headed, their programs, their objectives, their infrastructure and their initiatives, and thus opportunities for foreign companies or foreign countries to get involved and either sell product or collaborate with the Finns. Discusses ordnance programs, electronics programs. Click on force structure, and here we have basically a very literal interpretation of that title of this document, the force structure. We talk about the Air Force, its trainers, its transports, its reconnaissance, utility and liaison. We see they operate mostly helicopters. Discussion of their warships. missiles that they operate. The types of tanks. And a discussion of their electronics. Okay. I'm looking at France. Obviously much more robust posture. Takes a while to load. Each of these is dozens of pages long. They can be downloaded as well. And it follows the same format: security assistance, national budget, economic synopsis. Let's jump to force structures and see how big France's war machine is. As you can see, there's a great deal of equipment and capability. We've got to remember that France is a country of 75 million people and has always been in the top 3 or 4 arms exporters in the world annually. So they are certainly a very capable military force. Okay. So this has been a review of Forecast International's military aircraft forecast, which is more of an equipment-oriented intelligence module, and it's been a review of our IMM Europe, 2 countries in the IMM Europe module, Finland and France, and I hope it shows to some degree the scope of content that is offered in each of these online intelligence modules. There will be forthcoming videos that will talk about news, we'll talk about more about electronics and electronic warfare, and we'll cover a little bit more of some of the other modules, and also including other formats such as the Platinum format, which is the premium version of the online offering of Forecast International. But for now, thanks for watching.